Hello, hello. Welcome to Confidence with Coffee, this segment where we talk about this week's podcast episode and my kind of key takeaways from it. And I think, um, this week is absolutely no exception to our wonderful confidence informed guests. Denise Wester is my guest today. And as I was reading Denise's intro bio out, I was thinking, wow, like this is so parallel to my own life stories. Um, you can check out the podcast episode anywhere that you get your podcast. Confidence Through Cabaret. Just search for that, and you'll find it. Denise Wester is this week's episode, and we are talking about affirmations. We are talking about journaling. We are talking about kind of changing your programming and changing your beliefs through not having to be perfect, and really shifting what we're saying to ourselves. And it was a lot of fun, to kind of look at Denise's practices and then marry them together with our own Confidence Through Cabaret practices around, what's your stage name and what performance would you give and what prop would you use. And, I love that because that gives us that voice. The Magnificent Denise is a stage name, right? It's a statement, it's fierceness, it's strength, it's fabulousness. And I love that we can use that and tap into that energy anytime we want to. So it was a lot of fun kind of talking about that as our energy aligned with what Denise is talking about around, that her children described her as, courageous, and not something she'd ever thought of before to describe herself as, and then to try and kind of delve into and really explore that side of herself. And I think that's a great thing for us all to do. Um, I used to get my dad to write my CVs. He was an articulate, capable business person, but he would write stuff about me that, or CV is curriculum vitae, which is resume. Sorry, I forgot which country I was in. Resume, if you're in North America. So yeah, so I used to, and he would write all of this stuff, and I'd go, wow. That person's impressive, but it was all true. It was about me, and so my point in saying that is, if you try that by asking other people, what words would you use to describe me? Maybe get them to text you, 5 words that would describe you, and get each of your friends to do that and see, and maybe even some of your clients and stakeholders and colleagues and, people that you're connected to on socials and so on, and just see what words consistently come up. It would be an interesting exercise, something I'm going to try. Hadn't planned that. That just came up. Love it when that happens. But I do that with each of my guests, is ask them about their stage name, and it was very similar kind of exercise that Denise, maybe unintentionally, went through with finding out that she could be described as courageous as well as magnificent. So, what would your stage name be? Drop a comment below. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're here. You can also check out this podcast episode under the Vodcast playlist right here in the Confidence Through Cabaret channel. If you're watching this on Instagram, jump on over to the YouTube channel Confidence Through Cabaret and go into the Vodcasts playlist. Uh, so we talked a lot on this podcast episode around journaling, um, and what I've realized is that, anytime you talk to people about their journaling practice, it's different. For some people, they have questions like, who am I? How do I feel? For some people, it's a morning practice. It's always been mine, but I'm going to try a nighttime practice after talking to Denise, because I process at night. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like this empty vessel, and I don't have so much to journal about, but I sure have a lot of processing that goes on in the night. So this might help my sleeping habits, and that's important for self care. So I'm going to try that. I'll let you know how that goes. But for some of us, we have questions that we ask ourselves. For some of us, we start off with our gratitude, and for some of us, we end with that. For some of us, we journal after meditation. I always used to journal before meditation to clear things and then go into meditation. I now understand the wonderful Frances Mary and Nasma did a beautiful how to make your own meditations recordings in the Confidence Through Cabaret in Facebook. So if you join the Confidence Through Cabaret community, you can check out that wonderful recording, and it's all about how to make your hear your own voice in your meditations. And what I learned from Frances Marion from NASMA was about making doing your meditation first and then doing your journal, and kind of having the when the theta waves are coming through and we're in that calm and peaceful state. I think it's a preference for some of you. If you do have a preference, then try it in either combination, see what happens for you and how that comes out. But Denise Wester and I were talking about journaling, and it was interesting because Denise described, writing scripts, which to me sounds like vision boarding, although it's a like a writing exercise. And so if you're much more kind of engaged in language and descriptions that way as opposed to visual, then that might help. That might work for you. Um, you could keep a separate journal for that and for gratitudes and affirmations, and then keep a separate one for some of your questions or for some of your processing through the day or things that come up. So you could have different. I do have 3 different journals. They aren't what they're supposed to be. I have one for gratitude, I have one for recording dreams, and I have one for just like my free flow journaling. And I tend to ask questions like, who am I? How do I feel? What meaning am I making from that, and so on. And what ends up happening is then I start going, oh, but I'm really grateful for this, and then I go into that, and then I'll go off into something else. And if at first I used to try and switch journals, and they're all lined up along beside my bed, and then it became too cerebral and too kind of logical, and it took me out of the moment. So now I just write free flow. Um, but I like the idea that Denise takes us through around the script of intentions and really writing that, because for me, I'm much more lingual than I am visual. So writing that very specific script of what my intentions are is a really cool idea. And I'm definitely going to play with that. And then we got into taking a Polaroid picture, which I use for some things. And I realized, and I didn't know this, but I realized as we were talking that um, I could extend that to others. So I really believe that we have all of the confidence strategies that we need. So we might need some tools to tweak it and upgrade it and upskill it and practice it in different ways. But if you're confident in one area of your life, then what is that? And engaging and really understanding that, and then they're all transferable skills. A lot of us can, do something in our community, and then when we go to work, we freeze up, or vice versa. So it's just about, kind of working out what's working for you. Start from where you're strong, and then use those transferable strategies in other parts of your life where you want to grow more confidence. And you can get involved in the Confidence Cabaret community on Facebook if you want to get more into that. But Denise is describing, taking Polaroid pictures. So, and I do this one with my clean sheet night. I love clean sheet night. It's my favorite night of the week. I get so excited. I can't wait to go to bed on a Sunday evening because my sheets are all clean. And so there's that kind of that full sensory information of, I know how it smells, I know how it feels, I know how warm it's going to be, I know, and I have a full immersion in my senses about getting into that nice clean sheet night. Um, so, and that makes sure that even at my laziest, that I don't skip that. Um, and I do use that with things like my aerial, of how does that feel afterwards, and how will I feel in half an hour's time, or whatever it is. But I don't feel that same way about all exercise. I don't feel that same way about some of the other things that, for example, I don't get enough fresh air in the winter because I don't enjoy, even, no matter how wrapped up I get, I feel very cold deep inside, so I don't get enough fresh air. And so taking that Polaroid picture and just kind of going, how does that feel? How am I going to feel by the time I'm finished this? Will get you started, and then you can gain some momentum to finish it. So I'm going to take that away. We had a really interesting conversation about affirmations. So let's have a listen to this.
Affirmations to me, I listen to meditation I do on my phone. I have the Insight Timer app. It's free. And there is a lot of meditations that are IMs. I love those because it's like interesting in when they are saying I am smart or I am a genius. And you're like, I can't say that. And that first instinct is to say you can't. It's like, wow, that's interesting when they're going through these different I ams and something sparks a little bit of hesitancy. I need to work on that. So I find the affirmations so powerful because it starts that reprogramming, because we've got all that programming in our mind of what we can't do, where we don't have the confidence, what we, all those things that are just bogging you down. It's the old stories, and you got to reprogram that. And the way to reprogram that is with affirmations.
Yeah, I love the affirmations, and I think it can never be said enough times. Affirmations are great to say to yourself in the mornings when you're doing your gratitude practice, when you need a little bit of a boost. But it is something that is wonderful to do throughout the day, and you can specialize your affirmations according to, Denise used the example of, I am creative when writing a book, or I am capable and I am deserving when you're really struggling with. For me, it's copywriting is my struggle. So then it's the I am articulate, I am smart, I do know how to do this. It's that. And I think a lot of times we forget to do that, or we have a set time that we do that. But you can do affirmations any time of the day. And I always wear unless my hair is up, I always have elastics. That's because of my aerial practice, so that I always can pull my hair up. But anytime I touch those, I tend to do my affirmations of, if I'm struggling with something, I'll start to play with those, and then that's when I'm like, no, I'm capable. I've got this. I can do this. I've also told you before about for gratitude practice, when I touch my necklace, then I do try to name things that I'm grateful for. And I think, those kind of little physical prompts, if you fiddle with something, if each time you touch your phone, imagine what you could do if each time you touch your phone, you said, I'm smart and I'm capable, or I'm focused, and I will achieve this. It's that, and then it's like, oh, so I'm not going to go play a game or check my messages right now. I'm going to leave that. So affirmations are a wonderful way of reprogramming and of really kind of moving forward. And when done in combination with something like journaling, then even better, because then you can process and let go of some of your things. And at my deepest, darkest time, my late husband had just passed away. My son was leaving. My youngest was leaving for university, devastated and broken. My parents had gone into nursing homes. I lost my home and had to move to a much smaller place because of financial decisions that my late husband had made before he passed away. Um, and I got in a car accident with spine and neck injuries right as I was moving. And so I was at a deep low point. And shortly after I recovered, like a matter of, I don't know, 4 weeks or so, then COVID came. And so we were isolated. So it was a tough, dark time. And it is, as we talk about in this podcast episode, about, finding our crawl. And slowly we start to take some steps and walk. And gradually we start to be able to gather some momentum for a bit of a run. And it's not until then that we really can soar. And if I had had a journaling practice, it would have been infinitely easier. The deal was for me, I didn't want to acknowledge those feelings. I didn't want to, in order to express those feelings, you have to process them through you, right? So if I tell you how I'm feeling, then I'm acknowledging it and it's coming up through me physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually. When when we push it down and ignore it and live in denial, it is very toxic and harmful, and it will come back to bite you. I did it for decades, semi successfully. I was very, very much in a frozen state, but I didn't want to have a journaling practice or a meditation practice because it was too overwhelming for those things to come up. And I felt like I can't take one more thing. If you're in that state, regardless of what has happened, then I can tell you now the best thing that I ever did, and this was forced on me. I never would have done this voluntarily. It was forced on me because COVID. Um, the best thing that I ever did was let it go. I just felt like I didn't have any more. I just felt like if these things come out, that will finish me. But it didn't. It allowed it to flow. And in doing that, we're acknowledging, we're processing and feeling and releasing. And there's a very common analogy of it being like a river, and then you let that float away instead of keeping it inside. Um, Reach out to me if you want to talk through any of the confidence strategies, whether that's journaling, whether that's gratitude practice, affirmations, um, whatever it is that informs your confidence in your personal life or your work life or your stage life. In other words, I'm coming across a lot of people right now who are hiding in my kind of community and surroundings on social media where they're like, I really want to be able to do this, but I can't. And I'm saying, I cannot make you a stronger promise than it's really safe. We can do it together. And sometimes you just need a hand to hold to drive through and work towards the light. So I am here wherever you are. I am on all of the social medias as Heather Jean, and we are Confidence Through Cabaret. And I'm here to remind you that it is your body. Look after it, love it, accept it, if nothing else. It is your world, and you get to design it, and you get to have whatever it is that you want. That includes saying no to things. And it is your stage, and you get to unapologetically take up and own your space without explanation to anyone else. I love having you here. Please like and subscribe. Come back every week for more. Check in with us. I've always got lives going on that go up on the YouTube channel and on Instagram and all over the place. Join us in the Confidence Through Cabaret community on Facebook. That's where I am most of the time. And most especially, join us on our podcast or Vodcast with Denise Wester for this week. Thank you very much. Bye for now.